Well, hello, lovely listeners. Today I am genuinely super excited. I have got Tom Paladino on. Tom is he's a scalar energy researcher, and scalar energy is something that's definitely featured in my world over the last few months, and even more so in the last few days, actually. And he's got over 25 years of experience developing healing techniques which are designed to help people all over the world recover from their pathogenic infection and actually experience true health and wellness. And there is so much illness in the world today. This is just like God-given, right? That we want genuine true health. Tom, in his undergraduate days, he first became inspired by this research when he went into the work of various scientists. And he's especially a lover of Nikola Tesla, which I am as well. Although I heard something a bit weird about him the other day, but we're not going to go into that. And you became intrigued by the existence of an energy that is not part of the electromagnetic spectrum. I am not science at all. I am all spiritual. So I'm all ears when you start talking about this, Tom. And you've basically taken this as your inspiration and dedicated yourself to this as an independent study over many, many years. And you've realized now that scalar energy has been known to many cultures throughout the ages. And, you know, it's been referred to as prana, chi, radiant energy, 0 point energy, qigong, no, not qigong, chi, sorry. And more. And, you know, I did acupuncture years ago and it was all about the prana and the chi and all of that. So yeah, so you're very passionate about helping people achieve their health and wellness goals. And Tom, I am super excited to hear more about what you're doing because I know you offer some amazing programs as well in a very different way. And you can
Yes.
reveal all as we go through. So welcome, Tom. It's amazing to have you.
What a wonderful welcoming. Thank you for your warm welcoming, Val.
Oh, you're very welcome. So, I always love to start off, Tom, to learn a little bit more about who I'm chatting to. So, I would love to know a bit of your backstory and how you've actually got to, because I checked your website out earlier and it's amazing. You've got so much stuff on there. But there wasn't enough about Tom the man. So, just give us a bit of a backstory and how you've got to where you've got to.
Okay. My journey began with scalar research when I started to read about and study Nikola Tesla.
Mm.
Nikola Tesla is a great scientist. Many of you have heard that name. He was the first man to harness scalar energy. And I looked at his inventions and I looked at what he was doing. And to this day, it is unparalleled. Nobody has ever matched Tesla. And the reason we don't have that advanced understanding of his work is because he was using a different physics. Later in his life, he was working with scalar physics, which is not electricity. So until we enter into that new branch of physics, scalar physics, we'll never be able to accomplish what this scientist, this great scientist, Nikola Tesla, accomplished. So my point is very simple and straightforward. There's two energies: electricity, electromagnetic energy, and scalar energy. And scalar energy is consummate in its operation. Scalar energy is unlimited. There are limitations to electricity. So I choose to work with scalar energy. This technology is going to transform the world. That's my prediction.
So you were obviously a science student at university, and how was it that so what were you actually majoring in, and how did Nikola Tesla start to appeal to you?
You know, I studied physics throughout college, but that physics was not related to Tesla physics. So
Hmm.
I had in college a well-rounded education, including anything from English to history to business. I had to work for a living. Now, to be clear with your audience, I am alone in this endeavor. There is
Okay.
no company. There are no other researchers. It's me. So what's the point? All of this is groundbreaking. So to take my backstory is I had to study very hard and work very hard. I had to support myself. So over the years, I've developed these theories, I've developed these instruments, and now after 30, 40 years of hard work, I'm ready to present this to the world.
Wow.
And that's how long it takes if you're engaging in groundbreaking research. Nature gives up its secrets begrudgingly. It's not easy to make a discovery. It takes time. And sometimes you really have to think through the process, and through sometimes trial and error, you'll get there.
How do you feel about, I mean, the world I live in, Tom, certainly over the last 4 years with all the craziness that's gone on. Um, the stuff I've read and seen shows that Nikola Tesla's work was purposely hidden, and I think something I watched showed that the funding and the research and everything else was stripped from him, because he
Yeah.
apparently found free energy and
Yes.
and all of this. So is that something that you conspire with as well?
You're absolutely right. Tesla had incredible results. His
Mm,
instruments were incredible. To be clear, scalar energy is the light of the energy of the stars. The sun of our solar system, the stars, broadcast scalar light. Meaning, if you're really venturing down this road of scalar physics, you're in the realm of free energy.
yeah.
That's right, free energy from the sun and the stars. Tesla was able to tap into that free energy. He called it radiant energy. Sometimes he called it cosmic rays. But the bottom line is, later in his life, Tesla was not generating energy. He did not have a generator. He was capturing energy from the sun and the stars. So the new paradigm is not to create energy. Don't dig for coal. Don't drill for oil. You don't have to build a nuclear reactor. You simply tap into the stars. That is free energy. And over 100 years ago, Tesla had a great deal of backlash, if you will, from what I call the robber barons, the international bankers who did
Okay.
not want free energy.
Exactly. Exactly. Because they ain't going to make any money out of that, are they? So
Right.
So how the hell? And this is where this is where my because I'm right-brained. My left brain is a little bit shriveled, and yeah, science is out there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Physics is out there. I hated physics in school. My favorite was biology, I think. Then it was chemistry. Physics just I was just like, what? But I think based on what you've just said, it's because they're teaching a different physics to actually what you've,
Yes.
self-studied over the last few years. Had it
Yes.
have been this version, I'd have been all over
Correct.
it. Yeah.
Correct. There's two physics. Electricity is real. So is scalar energy. There are two energies. Now, why isn't this taught by academia? For various reasons. But you always have to, at the end of the day, you have to follow the money trail. And the money trail, you can make money with electricity and magnetism, the electromagnetic spectrum, because it's so widely accepted, and the fact that it's scarce. There is scarcity in that equation. Well, there's then you consider it a commodity. When you have free energy from the sun and the stars, there's no scarcity. You've eliminated scarcity, and the economic model falls apart.
Yes.
That's it.
So, how do you harness energy from the sun and the stars? Can you give us
Yes.
it in layman's terms?
Yeah, I'm going to show my instrument. I'm going to paint.
So for those that are only listening or not watching, he's in his science lab, I guess. And there's all sorts of weird and wonderful things behind him.
Yeah. This is a scalar energy instrument. Now take a close look, Mel. There's no moving parts.
No.
If you have a motor, the motor creates the kinetic energy. You don't see any moving parts here. Why?
Wow.
The sun and the stars are the kinetic energy.
The sun and the stars are the kinetic energy. Okay.
Correct. I'm collecting that kinetic energy from this instrument. So the instrument is not generating the energy, it's capturing the energy
And how's it capturing?
through a lot of geometry and a lot of hard work. It's I'll never release the schematics. I don't want to get into that right now, but these are custom built scalar energy instruments that can create a scalar wave. I'm going to show this. Maybe you could explain this to your group that's not watching us. That's a scalar wave.
So it looks like to me, this picture that I'm being shown, it looks like a fish that is sitting vertically, and you can see its ribs as it goes through. Is that a torus?
Yes, it's a double helix. Yes.
A double
And
helix.
if we could envision that energy, that type of energy, that double helix would be propagating out of the scalar wave, which is the same ratio and proportion as DNA.
Wow.
So a scalar wave is a double helix that downloads into our double helix, into our DNA. So the energy, the light of the stars, downloads into our DNA, creates our DNA, and maintains our DNA. We are composed of scalar information. Our DNA is an embodiment of scalar information. That's how important this is.
Wow. So I've been aware of Scalar for I don't know, probably about the last year or so. And then I've actually been to a centre in the UK because there's not that many here at the moment. They're called energy enhancement centres, and experienced it only for 4 hours. I'm very healthy. I think I was having a bit of brain fog at the time and thought it might help. Anyway, so I didn't have any majorly noticeable things, but other people that had gone into that centre, they did. And then I said to you before we came on, a friend of mine, I'm just going to share this story with you because, um, and then I really want to understand how you came about it because I know that this technology that's been created through Dr. Sandra Rose, who you're probably aware of, I believe that's at least 20 years old or whatever. And you're saying you've been doing this for 30, 40 years or whatever. So we'll get to that in a minute. But a friend of mine, he invested basically in the biggest center that's just opened in Europe. And the reason why, so he's friends with the guy that actually did open it. And the guy that did open it, he went to the one in Israel, had amazing effects, he even had scars on his face that 90% disappeared. So this guy was all over it, opened up this center, which took them a few months. Now, the story I wanted to share with you, which he shared with me the other day, um, they were testing the website and the booking system and everything for this center a few months ago. And while they were testing it, it was live for 15 minutes. They did a test booking to make sure everything was working and the payment processor was working and all of that. And another booking had come in, and neither of them knew where this booking had come from. And they were like asking each other, and we were like, well, this is weird. And the booking had paid. So my friend said to the other guy, well, give her a call tomorrow and see whether this has been done in error. Gives her a call, phones my friend, Frank, and says, you ain't going to believe the story that the conversation I've just had. So the woman that had booked was a woman called Sandy Ingham. She's a medium. She's 77 years old. She channels Leonardo da Vinci, right? She'd been getting these words coming through for quite some time, which was beyond light therapy. She had no idea what it meant, what it was. And then she was told to go on the internet at that specific time. And she got her husband to do it because she's not very tech savvy. He found their website because obviously it had gone live for those few minutes and booked for 4 nights. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So this was the whole story. And she'd got breast cancer. So this was the story that Manesh had been like, he was like, what? Shared this with Frank. Frank shared this with me the other day. And so they opened a few weeks ago. She was obviously one of the first people to stay, and her breast cancer is gone. And I was just like, I knew it was good, but you have some reservations, right? You're like, well, what is this? The way you've just explained it, I'm like, oh, okay. So I guess I'm a more visual person than I realized because I was like, oh, okay, I'm starting to understand what this is now. But I appreciate that you're not going to share with me how you're harnessing that energy because obviously that's protected. So yeah, so I just wanted to share that. And two questions. One, have you ever had any collaboration with Dr. Sandra Rose in any way, or have you stayed separate? Two, is it the same technology or slightly different?
It's different technology. My instruments are custom built,
Right.
I'm not at liberty to comment upon other instruments or
Sure.
other groups what they're doing because I have no knowledge. So to speak for my work, these instruments are custom built, and I simply want to present my body of evidence and then let people decide does this work? How do they feel? I think the bottom line is this. If people try this session, my session, Scalar Light, and they feel better, that's subjective, but nonetheless, that to me, that speaks volumes. So that's what I'm trying to achieve right
So you've been studying this self-funded for 30, 40 years. And so what was the day job while you were doing that?
now. Uh, usually working in finance, I had to support myself. So I was a
Wow,
working
totally
guy.
different, totally
Yeah,
different.
exactly. And why? Because this is not taught by academia.
No.
I mean, there are no scalar light positions. You're not going to find a scalar light, a scalar energy course at the university level. And most of the books that have been written about scalar energy are false. They're wrong because they describe scalar energy in electrical terms. Scalar energy is not electricity. Those are two separate energies. So, to be quite blunt, there's very few people with proficiency in the scalar light physics realm. It just doesn't happen yet.
So let's move on then to you said this is quite recent in terms of you, and this is just you, this is you and your company and your offerings. So how have you got to this point? Why did it take 30 to 40 years?
Yeah,
And how did you sort of get to where you've got to now?
yeah, great question. And actually, in 1993, I met a Hieronymus family. They were a group of researchers, and the husband and wife developed scalar energy instruments. And at one time, they would sell me those instruments. They're both deceased now. And with that training from this Hieronymus family, I was able to develop an understanding of this science. And once I stepped into their laboratory and I saw instruments like this, and I knew that they were onto something, a new branch of physics, because all of their work did not involve electricity. They
Mhm.
actually thought electricity was harmful to their operation, and I agree. So that was my, if you will, my initial initiation, my initiation into this realm back in 1993 through hands-on experience. And therefrom, I developed my own instruments predicated upon the Hieronymus model. So I am not the original inventor, but
Okay.
it's taken me 30 years to perfect this. And I do work right now with other engineers and other fabricators. Everything in my laboratory is custom built, everything, with everything. Now, with the exception of a vacuum tube that you can source for and purchase. But other than that, it is, if you will, a labor of love. It takes a lot of time to put all of these parts together and to produce what I call a standing scalar wave. Here's a photograph of a scalar wave that emanates from a Tesla coil. That's an actual time-lapse photograph of a scalar wave.
Wow.
So that's why I've been at this for 30 years, and some days are good days, and some days I don't achieve much of anything. I fail, and you have to be able to accept those failures and learn from them, and then pursue, so that you eventually arrive at the truth.
And obviously you've got family and wife,
Yes,
and
yeah,
so juggling full time and all of that.
yeah, exactly. I have a very supportive wife, Nita, and she sees the gigantic potential here. Like me, she's a humanitarian, and she's been very patient with this process.
Mm.
This, there's no overnight success here. This is years. This is a century of development, from Tesla to Hieronymus. Now, I inherit the baton.
What is it, do you think? Because, like you said, this has been a labor of love, but it's more than that, right? We know you're chosen. Well, I believe that you're chosen. You're in the right place at the right time. What is it, do you think, that has driven you on day after day against the challenges and, the obstacles and I don't know, some scientists like you, they put their lives in danger, right? Because they're going to produce something that the powers that be don't want producing. So what's driven you, do you think? What is it that's made you keep going?
God has always protected me. God has given me the wisdom to begin this journey, and God will finish this journey with me. And it will be of great benefit to mankind. And mark my word, the day that the world accepts free energy from the sun and the stars, that's clean, that does not produce a carbon footprint, that has no danger, there are no biological consequences, that day, mankind, humanity will be liberated. And that's what keeps me going. Scalar energy will change the social order. This will have a global impact.
So you're using it in a healing people way, but you're saying this can be used to power our houses?
Yes, I'll give you for instance. Now, I can't power a house yet, but if I take a light bulb in my hand, I
Yeah.
can power a light bulb. And
Wow.
that's an example of how scalar energy will broadcast into a light bulb.
So
Now,
for, so for the audio listeners, he literally just put it next to his custom built device and it just lit up in his hand.
if I can do that with a light bulb, eventually I'll be able to do that with a building and then a city. Now, to be clear, again, it's not only free energy from the sun and the stars, but the ether or the existing medium of space transports the energy, or if you will, connects the energy. It's a connection. It's always an instantaneous connection. So what am I saying? You do not need an infrastructure. The ether, which pre-exists, is your infrastructure. You do not need cell phone towers. You do not need satellites. It's a free infrastructure. So we're doing away with the modern day infrastructure. We're doing away with the modern day power generation. We're going to replace that with an entirely new model that is 1 penny on the dollar in operation.
Hmm. And when you say we, are you talking about this network of engineers that you're collaborating with?
Yeah. Yes, yes. And and by we, I want to develop a grassroots movement. To be clear, I want to keep this with the people because I trust the people and people are honorable. There are many governments and corporations that I do not trust and I do not want to work with.
Hmm. I concur on that one. So I had a question that just popped out of my head. Going back to the health side of things, let's talk about, we'll come back to that in a minute, but let's go back to the health. So you've already started working with some people and offering products and programs for this technology. And I had a quick squiz on your website and I saw, oh, hormones for women. I was like, because I'm at that age. Um, so yeah, and also the diet stuff and all of that. So how how the hell does it work?
Yeah.
Because I know you do it
Okay.
slightly differently.
Okay. Again, this is the new physics and it's non-physical. When I work with people, I work with them through their photograph,
Yeah.
which has a non-physical energy field or a force field. And if I wanted to download a hormone into me, I would not take the hormone and ingest it. I would not take a protein shake. This is nothing that is ingested or even by way of a transdermal patch. No, I take a photograph of a hormone, which has an energy signal. Progesterone, I'm showing your audience a photograph of magnified progesterone. And if I wanted to receive that hormone energetically, I would put this photograph in the instrument side by side my photograph.
Got you.
So with a scalar energy force field, there's an instantaneous communication between progesterone, the energy, and my force field, which is likewise energy. So by keeping this at the level of energy and not at a chemical level, I can share progesterone with myself in my quantum field. All of that is done through a transference or a communication of energy.
Now I get that for sure because I've been sort of in that world for a few years of trying different things. Some people listening to this might be like, well, what the hell is he on about? So have you used this for yourself to heal anything
Yes,
for yourself? Yeah.
all the time. I am 64 years of age and it's given me robust health. I am very healthy.
Where
I
are
have
your
no,
where are your wrinkles?
I don't have wrinkles.
Exactly.
On kind of the fact that I'm working with myself on a daily basis. and scalar energy provides me the nutrients that I need. If I wanted to download B5, vitamin B5, I simply take a photograph of B5 and I energetically download pantothenic acid into my quantum field. Now, once again, this is not a chemical process. We're not working at the slow rate of chemical processes and metabolic exchanges and metabolic interpretation. We're working at the speed of light, so to speak. We're working at the quantum level of information. The best way, in my estimation, to receive a vitamin is energetically through scalar energy. Why? Because everybody has a scalar energy force field, which is not their biological body. This is why I never work with people, which is their biological person. I work with their energy field, which is a scalar force field. So there's two ways to deliver nutrients. Yes, you can ingest a vitamin. Yes, you can drink a protein shake. But on the other hand, through scalar physics, we're now proving that the body has an energetic force field, and you can deliver vitamins to that energetic force field, or what some people might call their aura.
Yeah. Wow. So tell us about some of the programs then that you're offering at the moment.
Yeah. We have a standard program in which people will, again, send us a photograph. And to give a, for instance, the instrument is capable of so many functions, and there's thousands of functions, but I'll just mention this one for the time. If somebody wanted to rid themselves of the energy pattern of Epstein-Barr, they can do that with scalar energy because we're working at the level of information, and we either have the presence of that force field of Epstein-Barr or we can negate it, and that presence, that force field ceases to exist. So on a daily basis, people who send me their photograph, I take photographs of microbes, germs, and I download the energy of Epstein-Barr, the force field, into a person. If Epstein-Barr is present in their quantum field, that's their informational field, the instrument will identify Epstein-Barr as a force field and negate it or disassemble it or eradicate it, call it what you will. So when we work at the informational level, it's either on or off. And if it's on, and if you have the presence of Epstein-Barr, this instrument will turn off, will bring to a state of chaos Epstein-Barr as a signature.
Got most of that.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the point? A photograph identifies a microbe. The instrument looks for the energy of the microbe and reduces it to a state of chaos. Thereafter, people no longer have that force field. And lo and behold, people tell me they feel better. Here's a recent Epstein-Barr PCR test. After working with this individual through their photograph, the individual had a follow-up PCR test.
Undetectable.
And according to this individual in the laboratory they used, there's no viral load for Epstein-Barr. Now, you cannot explain that by medical science. This is not medical science. This is not Newtonian physics. This is a new physics.
So this sounds a little bit similar as well to something else that me and my son have done over the last few months because my son's struggled with anxiety, panic attacks, some weird physical symptoms that had manifested like very dry mouth, dry throat, and all of that. Quite debilitating. So we were recommended to this woman, and you said the informational thing. So she has informational supplements. So she trained under a doctor out in Prague, Dr. Joseph, and it's like a machine where you hold the metal thing.
Yes.
She's prodding your other palm with the other metal thing. It's not very scientific, sorry, but she's testing for different toxins in your body. So this obviously is a slower process to what you're talking about. But this is the journey we've been on the last few months. And so every time we go back, she gives us different sprays. So we spray them on different parts of the body. Then we run out, we go back and get tested, and then we're clear of this, and this, and then she works on a different part. And I did say to her quite recently, well, we're getting rid of all these toxins, but there's a chance they'll come back, right? And she's like, Yeah, there is. But the thing is, what you're doing is you're taking your body back, your cells back to a clean environment where they're healthier and therefore, go on. You were
Yes,
going to
that's a
say
good
something.
point. That's a good point. So that's another energetic process. Now, it doesn't obviously surprise me or your audience with energy. Energy is fundamental, and you can do, there's millions of applications with energy. That's the point with scalar energy. I'm simply demonstrating one modality now in which we can look for energy signals of a virus and eradicate them.
Hmm.
There's thousands of applications with scalar energy. Eventually, scalar energy will run our refrigerator. Scalar energy will eventually give us anti-gravity. The future of transportation is anti-gravity. So we're just at the beginning chapter of scalar energy, and it's so filled with promise. This will change the social order for the better.
It's very exciting. So if I use my own personal thing here, what would you recommend? So I have acne rosacea. Do you know what rosacea is?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So that's I've always had I've always gone red easily, spicy foods set me off, alcohol sets me off, all of that. Since I've been doing the whole detox thing, because I took antibiotics, right, on and off for years to combat the spots. And since I've been detoxing, we've detoxed the antibiotics out of my system, and I've
yes.
noticed the spots are coming back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what would you, I know it's a hormonal thing as well, I'm pretty sure it is, but the redness has been around ever since I was little, really. Um, so what would you do for me for that?
Okay, keep in mind when I'm working with this energy, it's fundamental. It obeys the laws of science. I believe this is divine energy. I don't consider myself the healer. Now, with that caveat, to move on, the energy will correct soul, mind, and body. Rosacea is a disease signature. All disease has an intelligence behind it. It has to. Any manifestation has to have some type of intelligence, instructions. Scalar energy will negate a disease signature. We've had good success with rosacea. Any type of disease has a signature, an instruction. So I never look at disease from the chemical level. I only look at it from the energetic or informational level. All disease begins as an information body or as intelligence. Scalar energy, this divine intelligence, can correct that faulty information, can correct that intelligence that has gone awry, and in so doing, reprogram soul, mind, and body. How does that exactly work? Well, in this short interview, I don't have time to get into that. But long story short, if you can program a computer and the computer can follow, can execute your command brilliantly, flawlessly, then you can program a scalar wave and you can reprogram a disease signature.
Wow. Okay, cool. So for the listeners and the viewers, what if if they're sitting there thinking, oh, well, I've got, I don't know, I always have like bronchitis every few months or, whatever ailments they've got, or it might be anxiety and stuff like that. What would you suggest that they do?
Yeah. I always like to prove what I'm doing. Any true researcher will prove and not be afraid to prove their work.
Yeah.
On my website, I give away 15 days of free sessions. If you have bronchitis or anything that you think could benefit from scalar instructions, go to our website. For 15 days, we will look for, identify, and eradicate the energy field of various types of bacteria, fungi, viruses that could contribute to bronchitis. When I first started working with myself in 1993, I had a mild case of bronchitis. After working with myself, within 1 hour, I could breathe easier and my sinuses cleared up. Why? Because I was able to identify the energy field of a microbe, a germ, and reduce that microbe to a state of chaos.
Presumably the same as something like hay fever and all of that as well that
Yeah.
people struggle with. Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. To this day, I don't have any allergies because I've negated the disease signature of allergies. I never have bronchitis. I never have congestion because I can negate bacteria. I can negate fungi. At one time, I had back pain. Scalar Energy negated the disease signature of back pain. I feel great. At 64 years of age, I am robust. I feel like I'm in my 20s and 30s.
Yeah, you definitely don't look 64. Definitely not. Um, okay. So you said it was 15 days that somebody would get to try this.
Right,
Is
correct.
that free of charge, is it?
That's free of charge. And I want to treat the world free of charge. And what's my goal? To introduce this to the world. Now, keep in mind, I trust the people. I want to develop a grassroots movement. That's why on
Yeah.
my website, I'm very open minded about that. And I want people to try, sign up for 15 days of free sessions. There's no obligation. I want you to prove this to yourself.
Yeah, which brings us, that's amazing because I'm going to do that as well. Which brings us back to this grassroots movement. So, what I've seen over the last 4 years, and I'm actually kind of part of a different kind of movement, which is not about energy or healing. It's about corruption in our legal systems. I've sort of found myself there recently. And so there are lots of different pockets that are growing in different facets, whether it be farming, whether it be legal, whether it be healthcare, um, sovereignty, taking back our power essentially, because I think certainly a lot of people are waking up more and more, with the whole intervention with vaccines and all the rest of it that just was not necessary and has now been proven to be harmful, and didn't even stop the so-called virus anyway.
Right.
Um, so with all of that going on, and the likes of you that are bringing to light different technologies and different ways of being, so this whole grassroots thing, what is your ultimate vision?
The truth, the
Yeah,
truth. I'll go on record. The recent pandemic that we went through, there were many mistakes. And many people who are supposed leaders or part of the intelligentsia made incredible mistakes, and they should be held accountable for their incredible mistakes. So, if the pandemic is any indication of how poorly managed the healthcare system is, then we have something in common. I'm just speaking in third person.
yeah,
So, my approach is a new, fresh approach in which we follow the laws of science. I have scientifically calibrated instruments that perform the function. Energy and only energy is the animating force. There's no human reasoning, there's no human input. So if I keep this with the primal force of the sun and the stars, scalar light, scalar energy, and I don't let anything corrupt that process, and I won't, then we're working with nature. And you cannot bribe nature. And nature does not make a mistake. Nature follows the laws of science. And nature is not persuaded by public opinion or political polls. So when I follow the laws of science, Mel, I want you to smile. If I follow the laws of science, there's no chicanery.
in reality, knowing what we know about how the world is right now, what does that look like? Do you know, or is this a day by day thing?
Well, to interest your audience, earlier today I was working with 500,000 photographs. This instrument could easily work with 10 million photographs a day. I envision global healing. That's safe because I'm working energetically, I'm not working biologically.
Yeah.
That's inexpensive because all you have to do is send us your photograph. You don't have to travel to an office. That's effective because we follow the laws of science and there's no human reasoning, there's no human input in my work. So what am I looking at? I'd like to work with 1 billion photographs a year, Mel. That's one of my goals. And if I do it through the people, then we don't have to worry about political corruption because I trust the people. But there's some political parties and some political politicians that I do not trust.
Hmm. Yeah, I actually put a post. LinkedIn is my preferred platform at the moment. I actually put a post out, and my headline was, um, I don't trust 97% of politicians. And I struggled with what that number would be. I started off at 99, and then I thought that's a bit harsh. There's got to be at least 3% of politicians that are good. And there's definitely one in the UK that stood out as an outlier, and talked against the vaccines and all the rest of it in this country, and taken a lot of abuse as a result. So I thought there's got to be at least 3%. But it's so true. We have to bring back our own sovereignty, the truth, as you call it, recognize that truth, embody that truth, and I don't want to say go back, because it's not going back, but it's almost like, that there's so much that's been hidden from us. History has been rewritten
Yes,
to whoever's agenda. So it's my belief, and probably yours as well, that, the intelligence and the technology that's been available way before mine and your lifetime way superseded what we're being shown right now. And so these emerging technologies, the amazing work that you've been doing, um, that could have been available 30 years ago, potentially, but everything is so like closed down. It's been difficult, and you've been trudging on your own one-man mission to get this out there. And there's probably other Tom Paladinos dotted around the globe, right? Doing a similar thing.
sure.
I don't know if you found them yet, but
You're right. And not necessarily just with Scalar Light, but with
mm,
political science, with a new way of looking at health, with energy generation, with a new way of education. And we have to stand up for the truth and what is right. Those of you in the audience, again, let the pandemic be a great example. What went right during the pandemic and what went wrong, and just be objective. Okay, don't let your political parties skew your judgment. And then you have to ask yourself, are we any better today after all of the press, after all the research, after all the science? What was accomplished? But, by the way, people are still becoming infected with COVID-19. What was accomplished, people? Show me results. Where's the performance?
exactly. Okay, so so just to remind the audience then, your website, I mean, I'll put it in the show notes, but what's the website again?
Scalarlight.com. SCALAR, scalarlight.com.
Dead easy. And then they can go and get a 15-day free trial. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And can they do that on whichever program resonates for them?
We offer that for the standard session because we want
Okay.
people to start with the basics. So that's the standard session in which we look for and eliminate microbes. We download energetically vitamins, antioxidants, and then we balance the chakras. That's our standard program. And that's what's available because we want you to start off with our backbone, the
Hmm.
standard program.
Great. That sounds amazing. And so what would somebody expect at the end of those 15 days?
Within the first few days, most people sleep better. Why? Because your chakras, your brain waves have been balanced. The best way to balance your brain waves is with scalar, because a brain wave is a scalar wave. So the first 2 or 3 days, you're going to sleep a deep sleep, and your dreams will probably become more vivid. You'll probably, like I experienced within the first day or so, a clearing of your sinuses
Hmm.
because you're infected with so many germs over the course of decades sometimes. So you'll have a clearing of, of your sinuses. Some people say their arthritis, their hands are more uh, greater dexterity because many times what I call bacterial inflammation or bacterial arthritis is going to slow down or hurt your mobility. And then I would also say many of you will start seeing your skin tone change over the course of 15 days or maybe over a longer period of time because you're receiving the nutrients energetically that you need. And I want to make this very clear. When I'm downloading a nutrient by way of a photograph, it's not a chemical process, it's of a higher order. And so we don't have to rely upon chemical processes. We don't have to rely upon the bloodstream to deliver the nutrient. We do not have to rely upon metabolism. We eliminate all of that because we're never at the biological level. we take the energy of a vitamin, we download it into your energy field. So it's an instantaneous process. When you work with light, scalar light is always instantaneous. You don't have to rely upon your digestion, any metabolical process, any type of uptake of minerals or whatnot. There are no metabolic processes that we have to observe.
So that just triggered another question for me. I mean, that all sounds amazing, and some people might be like, "Oh, it's too good to be true," blah 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 blah. Some people might not fully get it. Now, I was talking to a friend the other day, and we were talking. Obviously, the body is an amazing thing and can heal itself, but there are so many things that stop that happening, whether it be external toxins, crap in our system, the wrong mindset, all of that. And we were actually talking about the EE centers, and my friend was saying, yeah, but the thing that puts me off about all of that is you're placing the power outside of you. So, what's your thoughts on that? Because we do have the innate ability to heal ourselves, but it
We
ain't
do.
easy.
We do. And going back to my previous discussion, if our DNA is composed of scalar energy, that's our innate makeup. It's the
Yeah,
life molecule, DNA. So,
yeah.
what's the point? We all have that ability to influence our soul, mind, and body. Everybody is a healer. Well, obviously, you heal every day. You sleep, and after you sleep, you've recuperated. That's just one process of showing self healing. You eat. Why? By eating, you're healing your body, so to speak. So we have to take charge, people. And again, there are some people who are well intentioned in the medical field, and some people who are just out in this for the money.
Mm.
So take your life into your hands and be very prudent about how you go about caring for yourself, whether it's energetically, spiritually, physically. It's your body, it's your mind, it's your soul. You have to take charge and you have to be proactive in your health.
Yeah.
Now, I also want to say to the men and women of the medical community, God bless you and keep up your good work. Because many people in the medical community are well intentioned and they're good people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair to say. Okay, cool. So is there anything that we haven't spoken about that you would really like to speak about that I haven't asked?
Yeah, I usually leave the audience with this notion. A brain wave is a scalar wave. That's right. Your emotions are scalar waves. Okay. So this is the part of self-healing. This is the part of taking charge of your life. The way you think is a scalar wave. The way you feel is scalar energy. Everything is an instruction. Thinking and feeling are instructions, scalar instructions. So a thought can transcend time and space. Your feelings can transcend time and space. Well, scalar energy transcends time and space. So what's my point? Thoughts and feelings are scalar waves. We all are scalar energy experts. Everybody listening to this podcast, you're a scalar energy expert. You might you might not have realized that 60 minutes ago. Now you do. Your thoughts are scalar waves. Your feelings are your emotions produce an energy form, a scalar energy waveform. So use your thoughts, use your emotions appropriately. You will self heal in many cases, and you will be in charge of your life. And you should be with your thoughts and your emotions.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, that's a great way to finish, Tom. I have thoroughly enjoyed this. I've loved actually seeing the devices behind you as well, because it really gives me a visual on it. And thank you for sharing all of those little diagrams because it allowed me to make more sense of it. I'm so excited and to share this episode. It will go out quite quickly because I've been quite poor at keeping up to date with interviews this time around. So this is going out pretty quick. And I already know that I'm going to be sharing it with a couple of my mates, with my son, and all the rest of it. Say, watch this. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Because I've got a friend that is such a non-believer in this. He's very old school. He's very traditional, and I've mentioned quantum physics and all of that sort of stuff. And I don't know enough, so I can't hold up the argument, but I feel like he's not there at all. Whereas I think listening to you might make him question a few things. and will make a lot of people question a few things. So I've loved it. Thank you so much, Tom.
Hey, my pleasure. I enjoyed myself. Thank you.
And just before we go, as a reminder, you get a fantastic 15-day free trial to try this out, guys. It's a no-brainer. And I will have that in the show notes as well if you've missed it in the audio. But thank you again, Tom. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you.